Okay. Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to rig Steve with basic pairing constraints and a couple of controllers. So let's get at it. First up, open up your textured file. Steve should be fully done by now. Woohoo! And then let's go ahead and hide these image planes. So image plane, click on it, H. Click on it, H to hide. Then let's resave our file. So file, save scene as. We're going to change textures to rigging. So we're going to change textures to rigging. I'm going to save it. Great. Now, as we do this, I want you guys to think about how does each part of Steve function. So either in the game or even thinking about your own body. So for your head, for instance, does your head translate? I sure hope not. Does your head scale? Again, oh, that's hilarious. Hopefully not. And then can it turn off and on? Well, I sure hope you can't turn invisible. That's pretty cool if you can. So, before we parent everything together and it moves correctly, let's think about it. So the head should only rotate on the body. So with the head selected, go to the channel box to the right side. We're going to click on these different attributes, okay? So X, Y, and Z, we're going to start with first. You can either hold down Shift, so click on Translate X, hold down Shift, click on Z, and then right-click, Lock and Hide Selected. Lock and Hide Selected. So now I cannot translate his head. And I want you guys to hide it so you don't have to worry about it. Now, scale. Again, your head doesn't scale. So click on Scale X, hold down Shift, click on Scale Z, click on Visibility as well. We don't want to control the head's visibility from the geometry. That's going to be a different controller. So right-click, Lock and Hide Selected. Now, let's say you mess up and you accidentally do Rotate as well. I'm going to do it for an example. I'm going to lock and hide by accident. So, oops. How do I get it back? In the channel box, you go to Edit, Channel Control, Edit, Channel Control. Now you get this giant menu that looks a little intimidating at first, but all you're doing is looking for those controllers. So, I'm looking for Rotate. It's alphabetical order, and I want the normal rotate. There's so many different rotates. Just do X, Y, and Z. So hold down Shift, select them, and I want to move them to keyable. Move them to keyable. And that's it. Now you got them back. Now to unlock them, you select them, you right click, and there's an unlock selected. Unlock selected if you locked them by mistake. Okay, great. So the head is done and ready. Let's do the torso next. The torso should only be rotate as well. So I'm going to select everything. To unselect something, you can either hold down Command and then click. See that? That kind of helps the process. Right click. Let's see. Lock and hide selected. There we go. Because I only want to rotate from my torso. Same with my arms. I'm going to select everything, hold down Command, unlock that. I'm going to lock and hide selected. Now, all these attributes are basically the same. So if you want to make things a little faster, select everything, and then just select it all like this. Hold down Command, make sure Rotate is unselected. Right click, lock and hide selected. That should work. Let me check. Yeah, it works. Now one more thing on the legs. If you think about Steve from the game, Steve only rotates from rotate X. So we're going to also lock and hide the other two rotates. So we're going to lock and hide Y and Z. Right click, lock and hide selected. So now Steve can only rotate from there. Great. Let me check my notes, see where we are. Okay, I think we should be good. Let's get on to the parenting aspect. So how can I move my torso and it moves everything else with it, like the head and the arms? So you could do two things. In the outliner over here, you could either move the head on top of the torso by middle mouse click and drag, hover over it, see how it has a white selection box, and drop it in. See that? So now when I rotate my torso, the head also follows. Or you could select the child. This is how parenting goes. Hold down Shift, select the parent, and then select P. You can see in the outliner how the arm is now parented to the torso, just like we did the head, except it's with the parent constraint. So arm, so child, parent, P. Now it should be parented to the torso. So if I rotate the torso, everything moves with it. And I can still move pieces independently, which is great. Now for the legs, I don't want to parent them to the body, and I don't want to parent the body to the legs. That's why we're going to make separate controllers for that. So let me check my notes. I think we're good at this point. Okay, let's create the rotate control. So there's going to be 3 controllers that we make: a rotate, a move, and a master controller. So let's get at it. First, go to create up top, NURBS primitives, circle. So create NURBS, circle. Let's scale it up so we can see it. Great. Now, for this NURBS primitive, we're going to move it to waist level. So if you click on your spacebar, you should be able to see different views of Steve. Let's bring it up to the front view. If you're missing your textures, you can click on the texture button up here in the viewport. Now, I'm going to move my curve about waist level. I want it waist level. Okay? So I'm just translating this curve to waist level of Steve. Go back to my viewport by clicking on my spacebar. And you want to scale it so it's just a little bit bigger than Steve. You can scale it down a little more if you want. Personal preference. But this will be the inner circle. Let's rename it. We're going to name it rotate underscore CTRL, short for control. Great. Now, let me check something real quick. You should be able to freeze transformations. Yep, great. Just wanted to check if that worked. Sometimes when you freeze transformations on these curves, I forget if it changes the scale, so just wanted to make sure that worked. Just want to double check. So on your curve, once you have it the size you want and that it's been scaled up to the waist level, go ahead and freeze transformations in the poly modeling shelf. Now let's duplicate it. So with scale on and using this green box, we're going to hold down Shift to clone it and make it slightly bigger. This one's going to be called move control. Move underscore CTRL control. We're going to also freeze transformations on that. Great. And while we're at it, let's also make the master control. So go to create NURBS circle. Create NURBS circle. We'll make this one the biggest one. I'm just scaling it up. This will be the master control. Freeze transformations right off the bat. I'm going to make this master underscore CTRL control. Great. Now before we do any parenting or locking in things, let's also select all the controllers and say delete history. So this delete history button is really important. So we'll delete history on that. Now, starting with the rotate control, I only want to rotate Steve with this control. So in the channel box, select everything, hold down Command, and I want to only have rotate available. I can lock and hide everything else. Lock and hide selected. For my move control, just like it sounds like, I only want to translate. So I'm going to hide everything else. Select and hide everything else. I'm thinking of how Steve moves in the game. And for my master control, I actually want everything on. So don't touch the master control after you freeze transformations. You want everything turned on for the master control. Now, let's rig everything together. So for all your geometry, in the outliner, you can click, hold down Shift to select all, and then we're going to drag it on top of our rotate. So middle mouse click and drag on top of our rotate control. You can see how it's selected with the little white selection. Great. Now if any of the parenting messes up, you can go ahead and fix that too. So everything should be parented to the torso except for the legs. Great. Now if I move my rotate control, everything should rotate with it, which is good. I want that to happen. I also want to be able to rotate my body independently. So this would be in cases where Steve is maybe diving, right? He jumps and dives into water. So you want to rotate his whole body versus just rotating his upper body if he's just looking down or squatting. Again, thinking about how the game works. Now, you want to parent everything to the move control. Because right now, if you try to translate Steve, you can't. We already locked him down. So how does he move? We're going to use the move control. So click on that rotate control, middle mouse click and drag on top of move. So everything now should be able to move. Should be able to move Steve. Awesome. Let's try one of those parent constraints. So click on the child, which is the move control, select master control, and then P for parent. Should also do the same thing, a little bit more convenient, and now everything should be parented together. So now in my master control, I can hide everything. I can scale anything I want, all from my master control, and that is super important. You only want to control scaling from the master control. Also keep in mind, the master control can translate and rotate as well, but you're going to translate and rotate from this pivot point. So just keep that in mind. We'll get into more rigging or understanding the rig probably in another video, but at this point, let's go ahead and save. So I think we got everything we need. Yeah, let's go ahead and save. So Command S, and then we're going to resave it as a new file. So I'm going to save scene as. We're going to call this one something a little different. So last name _ Steve Rig. Steve Rig as one word. And I want you to save this in your assets folder. So in current project to the left, go to your assets and save it in your asset folder. This will be great for animation later. And save as. Great. So that should be good. You guys made Steve, we rigged him. In the next video, we'll start some animation and I'll show you how to reference in the rig so that you don't damage the original file. Great.